Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyihi wa mustafa Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. Praise be to Allah alone, we praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is a truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. May the best peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of your program, Ask Huda. A quick reminder with our phone numbers in the beginning: area code 002-02-3855-248-0249, and the email address is ask@huda.tv. Just a couple of pending questions from Brother Shabir from the KSA, and I promise to begin with this question: how many rakas is the Taraweeh? And is it sunnah to pray more than 11? Or is it bid'ah? And what is the reference to that? I applauded before questioning if any person does anything pertaining an act of worship, he is required to present a reference. Did the Prophet ﷺ do so? Did he approve that at least? Where did he get this from? And this is how we maintain the authenticity of our religious practices. We don't have fabrications or innovations in the deen. First of all, the hadith which is collected by Imam al-Bukhari and narrated by the mother of the believers, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. She said in this hadith that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam ما كان يزيد في رمضان ولا في غيره على 11 ركعة. He never offered, as far as tahajjud or night prayer in Ramadan or other than Ramadan, more than 11 rak'ahs. He would pray the 8 rak'ahs 2 by 2, 4 long rak'ahs 2 by 2, then a break, then 4 long rak'ahs 2 by 2. Then he will pray the witr. And we discussed the witr before, how to be prayed, the different formats and so on. This is one narration. There is another sound narration in which Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, said that he once spent the night in his aunt's house, Maymuna, may Allah be pleased with her, where the Prophet ﷺ got up to pray at night, and he witnessed him, counted his number of rak'ahs which he offered, and he said he prayed 13 rak'ahs. So that waives the limit or the restriction to 11 rak'ahs which was stated in the hadith of the mother of the believers, Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha arda. And when she says so, she's right, because whenever he was praying in her room, he never exceeded that number. So she narrated, she quoted what she have witnessed. As in another hadith, she said that whosoever claims that the Prophet ﷺ ever passed urine while standing, he's a liar. While there is another hadith by Hudayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, where he narrated the opposite. We say there is no contradiction, no conflict of interest, because she was narrating what she have seen. But in the khala, in the open, when the Prophet ﷺ was traveling, when he went to answer the call of nature, he was witnessed by one of the companions with taking the proper precautions, as we discussed before. So we can compromise, as the scholars of hadith and fiqh taught us. What about the number 20 and also 36 and so on? And is it bid'ah to follow the imam who offers more than 11 rak'ahs? Nobody prays 13 so far, but we hear about 20, 21 and so on. Let's take a few phone calls, because I've been waiting on the line, and inshallah we'll continue. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Nisreen from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you,
Assalamu
sister?
alaikum, Sheikh.
Go ahead, sister. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah for guiding us all.
Wa jazakum. May Allah guide all of us.
Thank you. I've got 3 questions, if
Please.
you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
The first one's about the upcoming night of Isra.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know if there's something that we should do, like fast or go to the masjid. What is the practice?
Okay.
And the second question's about an operation my daughter did recently, and it was a success, and we had a sacrifice done as thanksgiving and to Allah, and to distribute the meat to the poor. Is this okay?
On Thanksgiving.
Sorry?
On Thanksgiving.
No, just to give thanks to Allah.
Okay,
for the
okay. So it
success
was
of-
not on the occasion of Thanksgiving.
Of course not. No.
Okay,
This was,
okay, sure.
recently, so we want to show appreciation to Allah, and we gave the meat to the poor.
No.
If that's okay, or was that an
Okay,
innovation which worries me?
okay.
And the last question's a bit time sensitive, if you don't mind. As of recently, my menstrual cycle has changed, and I noticed that the new cycle has a bit of a show on the time that the period is due, like a thin strand of blood. But then for the next 2 or 3 days, there's no bleeding until it starts bleeding properly. So do I pray within this time frame, even though I've had a show and there's no bleeding for 2-3 days?
Okay,
And that's about it.
okay. Thank you, Sister
Jazakallah
Nasreen.
khair.
Wa jazakum. Sister Reem from Oman. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, uncle.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have 3 questions,
Go ahead.
and these questions are from my mother.
Okay.
My grandparents are coming with us for performing Umrah. We will be going to Jeddah from Muscat. We want to take rest in my uncle's home and go to Makkah the next day. Can we do that? If yes, are we supposed to be in state of ihram till the next day? And from where should we make the intention?
Okay. Jazakumullah khairan, Reem. We got only one question. I believe you mentioned that you have a couple of them. Try again, please. So, where did the number 20 come from as far as Taraweeh? From the ijma' of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, the general consensus. Because as we know in the Sand collection, the Taraweeh prayer, which is an emphatic sunnah mu'akkada, started as when the Prophet ﷺ led them in the prayer for 1, 2, 3 nights, then he quit. Then afterward, the companions would pray it individually or 2 by 2, like they would have a small jama'ah. Afterward, when Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, became the Khalifa, he noticed that people were praying singular. He gathered them behind one Imam with a melodious voice. And he said, Na'imatil bid'ah. This is not an innovation, because it was actually prescribed in Jama'ah at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he stopped it praying in Jama'ah, lest his companions might think it is a fard or an obligatory prayer, as it is narrated in the Sahih Imam Bukhari, by Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in kana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam la yada'u al-amala wa huwa yuhibbuhu khashyata an yufrada ala ashabi. Sometimes the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would quit doing a particular ta'ah or act of worship out of fear that his companions might believe or think that it is mandatory. So he would interrupt it deliberately. He would do the same thing with duha. The example that she drove in the hadith is the duha, subhat al-duha, that she had never seen the Prophet ﷺ praying it. Sometimes he would pray it very frequently, that they would think that he would never leave it. And sometimes he will not pray it at all for several days, just to show the companions and confirm that it is mere sunnah and it is not a wajib, nor is it a must or obligatory. So Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu arda revived the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ by gathering them behind the same Imam. And since they would recite a longer recitation, they decided to increase the numbers, since the Prophet ﷺ did not put a limit to the number of rak'ahs. So when the companions agreed to that and nobody objected, that was considered ijma'. And ijma', particularly the ijma', the consensus of the companions, is one of the sources of legislations. Had the Prophet ﷺ ordered not to exceed certain number, then we would have said, no, we're not taking anything from anyone. And guess what? Umar ibn Khattab or any of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ would not have exceeded the number, obviously. But since they understood that there is no limit, no restriction, a person, as a matter of fact, may pray as many number of rak'ahs, and even then ended up with the odd, with the witr, even without keeping count. Without keeping count. So whatever suits people most, in order to lighten the standing for them by dividing the longer recitation over several number of rak'ahs. Here is the point. Somebody wants to stick to the hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha in al-Bukhari. That is perfectly fine. But if he's the imam and the community agrees to that, what if the imam is praying 20 rak'ahs or more? What do we do then? You should actually pray behind the imam until he finishes entirely the prayer. Why is that? Because we have a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man صلى مع إمامه حتى ينصرف كتب له قيام ليلة." In order to get the reward of the full package of praying throughout the entire night, then you must continue praying with the imam until he finishes the entire prayer. 11 rak'ahs, 20 rak'ahs, more or less. Stick to the imam. That is best. هذا والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم. السلام عليكم. Najib from the KSA. السلام عليكم.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Before asking Najib, mute your TV, please.
Sorry, Sheikh. Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is regarding zakat for the company.
Mm-hmm.
How is the calculation done? Because as you would know, that the companies will have a lot of creditors, the debtors, meaning we have to pay money to the companies, and we have a lot of money to collect from the customers, and we will have stocks, we will have cash, and we will have liabilities. So how do we calculate the zakat for the companies?
Is it your company, Najib, or you're working in it?
Yeah, it is, like I'm working for the company, but I'm in charge, and inshallah, this is my responsibility and my niyyah to pay proper zakat for the company.
Do you guys have a religious consultant?
Currently, no. The company is in India. Currently, we don't have anybody.
Okay, we'll answer you, inshallah.
Yeah, but I just want to know that we also pay the... hello?
I hear you.
Yes, doctor. We also pay the income tax and the other taxes as obligatory in the country.
Okay.
So despite that, are we supposed to pay the zakat for the company money, or if yes, what is the way of calculation?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazakum. Thank you. Ali from Oman. Assalamu alaikum, Ali.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh. How are you?
Wonderful. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sheikh, I have only one question. I asked you last time also. Unfortunately, you were short of time, so I didn't get the answer for that. And the question was whether one can spend his zakah money on the mosque he's building for his son's memory.
On the mosque?
On the masjid, yeah.
Okay. So
whether one can spend the zakah money on the masjid, which is under construction.
Okay.
I asked you this question last time also. Unfortunately, you didn't have time. I'll appreciate if you can give me an answer today.
Okay, take the swift answer. No, you cannot pay the zakat towards building a masjid. Was that fast enough?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It's more than enough, Sheikh.
Okay.
May God bless you.
Thank you.
And inshallah, we will be talking to each other again.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, Ali. Thank you so much. Okay. Is shafa and witr compulsory? No. According to the vast majority of the jurists, a shafa wal witr and any prayer other than the 5 daily prayers and Jumu'ah is not compulsory. The hadith is very obvious, and it is in the sound collection of Imam al-Bukhari when the Bedouin came to the Prophet ﷺ and told him, inform me about what Allah has ordained upon me, and he told him 5 daily prayers. إِلَّا أَن تَطَوَّعَ, except if you want to offer the voluntary prayers before or after the prayers, such as the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ recommended for us to pray 12 rak'ahs, the nawafil, 2 before Fajr, 2 or 4 before Dhuhr, 2 after Dhuhr, 2 after Maghrib, and 2 after Isha. And the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith, whoever does this on a regular basis, Allah will build a house for him in paradise. The most important nawafil are the 2 rak'ahs before Fajr and the witr prayer, because the Prophet ﷺ used to observe them on a regular basis even when he was traveling. Even when he was traveling. You know that whenever we are on a journey, we have the concession of shortening the prayer, combining certain prayers altogether, Dhuhr and Asr at the time of either one, Maghrib along with Isha at the time of either one. But the Prophet ﷺ would still pray the 2 rak'ahs before Fajr and would pray witr even when he was traveling. Imam Abu Hanifa gives it a priority and says witr is a wajib, because he differentiates between the wajib and the fard. He says the wajib, what has been confirmed by a dhanni, a speculative evidence. And the fard, whatever has been confirmed by a definitive evidence, such as the Quran or a hadith mutawatir with a continuous testimony. According to the Jumhur, really there is no difference between the fard and the wajib. So this classification is not known to the rest of the scholars. And the more right view that Salatul Witr is highly recommended, is an emphatic sunnah, but it is not compulsory, nor is it a wajib. I remember Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah have mercy on him, while he believes that it is an emphatic sunnah, says, a person who does not pray witr is an evil man. Imru'u su. May Allah protect us against that. Abdul Rahman from the United States of America last time had a question about somebody who lost his parents when he was young. What can he do for them now? May Allah have mercy on them. A person may benefit his parents or any dead person mainly by making dua for them. رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيَّ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الْحِسَابِ. My Lord, forgive me my sins and forgive my parents' sins, and similarly the believing men and women. These are supplications extracted from the Quran. One should remember to include his parents, particularly in the dua, in every prostration if it is possible. And whenever you remember, at the time of breaking your fast, and after giving in a charity, and in every good occasion in Hajj, in Umrah, while performing Tawaf, on the day of Arafah, and while drinking from Zamzam water, because you owe them a lot. But they didn't do much for me, they just delivered me and they died, or they died when I was young, and so on. They were the main cause for your existence, after of course the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the Prophet ﷺ confirms that when one dies, all his deeds will come to an end except from 3 ways, and he mentioned one of them, a righteous child who will pray for him or her after their death, that encourages us to invest in raising our children properly in a religious manner, and encourages the children to pray for the parents as much as they can, so that inshallah our children will pray for them. That is as far as the dua. Given in a charity, you can do that on their behalf, and it will be accepted, and give the reward to them. If any of them did not get a chance to perform the Umrah or Hajj, and you, alhamdulillah, have performed it, you can do that in their state, and it will be accepted as well. Feeding the poor, spending for the sake of Allah on their behalf, all of that would benefit them, inshaAllah Azza Jal, and the reward would reach them in their graves. Thank you, Abdul Rahman from USA. Assalamu alaikum. We have another phone call. Abdullah from Nigeria.
Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you doing, Sheikh?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you, Sheikh. Sheikh, I have a question, please.
Go ahead.
What is the Islamic ruling on exchange, trade by barter, exchange of items, one item for another, with an additional amount on top?
Exchanging what?
Exchange of an item for another item.
An item for another item.
Yeah, with additional amount on it.
Can you name the item?
Let's say I have a TV set, right?
You have what?
A TV set.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to have another new TV set, so I have to exchange it for another TV, which is more costly than mine. But I have to give another money on top of it before getting the new one.
I see.
Is it?
Okay. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Aziz from Algeria, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you? Fine?
Alhamdulillah, fine.
Fine, thanks. I just want to ask my question.
Go ahead.
How to pray while funeral? That's my question.
Would you
Okay?
please repeat it?
During a funeral,
Yeah.
what we say while praying, or
Are you asking about the funeral prayer?
yes,
Okay. What to say in the funeral prayer?
yes.
Okay. Salatul
That's
Janazah.
my question.
Okay. Thank you,
That's my
Aziz from Algeria. Barakallahu feek. Okay. Nisreen today asked about what shall we do on the blessed night of Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj and so on. And that question was answered in details last time, but since it is approaching, it has not been confirmed at all that the journey of Al-Isra, or traveling at night from Mecca to Jerusalem, and Al-Mi'raj, ascending from Jerusalem to heaven, happened on the night of the 27th of the month of Rajab. There is no such evidence. And we wonder, where did people bring this from? Those who celebrated that. We know that these celebrations began with the Fatimites, who were extreme Shias. Their leaders who ruled over Egypt altered the deen big time, and they were judged as kuffar. Some of them claimed the prophethood. Some of them were worshipped. These are people who were entirely messed up, the Fatimites. And they built Al-Azhar mosque in order to spread and propagate the Shia madhab. But by the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah sent the great leader, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, who conquered them as well along with the Crusaders. And he shut down the institute which was built intending to spread and propagate the Shia madhab. And now it is a Sunni madhab school, alhamdulillah, shukla, teaching the different four schools of thoughts and spreading the Sunni madhab and antagonizing any other fake madhab by the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the origin of these celebrations was not at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nor in the second, third, or the third generation of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because these are admired and purified generations. خير الناس قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. This innovation started way later. And if you trace any of these celebrations or innovations, you find that there is a political reason behind it. When these guys wanted to establish the rule in Egypt, they had to comfort and soothe the hearts of the Egyptian people by claiming that they are the descendants of the family of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and from his line, and we have to celebrate, we love the family of the Prophet and al-Bayt, so we have to celebrate the birth of such and such and the death of such and such. And this is how they controlled people. There is no such thing. There is no celebrations whatsoever. So don't we believe in the event of Al-Isra al-Mi'raj? Of course, one who does not believe in Al-Isra is a disbeliever. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed an entire chapter in the Quran and He named it Al-Isra. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا. It is the first verse of the surah. We must believe in the miracle of Al-Isra, that the Prophet ﷺ traveled in a part of the night while his bed was still warm from Mecca to Jerusalem, and there he met with all the prophets. Allah assembled them in the farthest mosque and He led the prayer with them in a part of the night. It was a miracle, and of course we can discuss this in details, but nobody knows on what day did this happen. And the biggest proof to that neither the Prophet ﷺ nor any of his companions have ever celebrated that. Okay? Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum. Umar from Kuwait. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Sheikh?
Great, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, Ya Umar.
Sheikh, I just have a question. I'm studying abroad in Canada, and I don't know if you're familiar with the student loans that are given out by the government.
Very much.
And I just wanted to ask, is it halal or haram? I mean, they don't work interest on you when you're studying, but 6 months after you graduate.
Yeah.
But if you can pay it within 6 months, then there's no interest.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just wanted to know if it's halal or haram or...
Okay. Jazakallahu khairan. Ahmed, KSA. Assalamu alaikum. Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I am from Saudi Arabia. I just have one question for you, please.
Okay, go ahead.
If someone utters 3 talaq at any one time, will it be considered as 1 talaq or 3 talaq?
I didn't get it. Offers 3 salahs. What kind of 3 salahs? Fard?
If someone says 3 talaq at the same time, at any one time, 3 times he says talaq. So will that be counted as 1 talaq or 3 talaq?
Can you clarify? You're talking about one fard. Let's say, name it, Dhuhr. Somebody prays Dhuhr 3 times. This what you mean?
Yeah, if somebody says talaq, talaq, talaq 3 times.
Talaq, not
talaq,
salah.
Yes,
divorce.
Talaq.
Okay.
Divorce, yeah.
Okay, so you're asking about divorce.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm sorry for
in the same sitting, does this count as 1 or 3 talaq?
Yeah, will it be counted as 1 talaq or 3 talaq?
Okay.
Because if it is counted as 1 talaq, then I am hopeful I will be in a position to reunite one family.
And would you stop saying talaq anymore?
Because if it is counted as 1 talaq...
Umar, would you stop giving your wife divorce anymore? Muhammad, I'm sorry. Would you stop giving her divorce anymore if I say it counts as 1?
Sheikh, this is one of my colleagues who has suffered from it, and I want to reunite them together.
Okay. Okay, Muhammad, I will answer you inshallah in the same order. Thank you. Okay, actually we got to take a short break, so inshallah stay tuned and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
In your standpoint of view, are there specific or certain criteria to choose your spouse or a partner, to marry or not to marry? Maybe that's the question. Do we revise the quality of performance of our treatment between the family members as fathers or mothers? As they say usually, it's not what you say, it's how would you say it. Wouldn't you like to be a good storyteller for your kids? Neurobiologically speaking, child abuse and emotional trauma causes scars in the brain of the child, and this might be not easily healing. What's the exact job description of a father? Is it clothing, payments, and feeding, or other important things? Well, I think the job description of a father is merely giving him love and care, self-confidence, giving him sense of security, and checking for the points of strengths to strengthen them. What about potty training and its planning? Oh yeah, actually, it's a state, it's a condition. Fatherhood is not a body or a person, it's a state. Are you a good or skillful designer for the policy and the long-term plans of the life of your kids? Join us every Wednesday for family issues.
Everyone knows, today Arabic is considered as very important, very significant language. How can we produce the sound, the state of voicing, place of articulation, the manner of articulation? So in Arabic, the words which are written are pronounced.
We will learn how to write and pronounce Arabic letters correctly in depth. Explanation via board and presentation with many other important factors.
We have today more than 300 million people speak Arabic language. Not only in the Middle East, but you can find a lot of people speak Arabic language in Asia, Europe, North America, and in South America.
What are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and pencil and stay tuned for Learn Arabic at Huda TV. Ark of Noah.
We're going to be mentioning the significance of the Ark of Noah.
Knowledge is the essence of everything. Once you get the knowledge, then it generates the desire and the motivation, and then it brings about the action.
And we're going to be discussing the state of the Ummah and the division which unfortunately has appeared in it, and the methodology of trying to arrive at the right path.
Your system of knowledge or your system of motivation are hit by any of these threats, you will definitely go astray, and you will be suffering from a disease in the heart.
We're also going to be discussing what Allah wants from us.
How can we make that? Allah gave us the revelation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing first and foremost the companions. If they believe in what you have believed in, then they are guided. So the real guidance is what the Prophet ﷺ and the companions were upon.
Join Sheikh Mutassim in the program Ark of Noah and discover the answers to these questions.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Second question from Sister Nisreen. Her daughter was sick and she had an operation, so she offered the sacrifice as thanksgiving. Is this okay or not? Yes, it is okay, and it is recommended too. Your intention was to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for saving your daughter, for curing her, and so on. It is okay to seek remedy for your beloved sick ones via giving in a charity, or dawu mardakum bis-sadaqah. That is permissible as long as this is your intention, and you will be rewarded for that, inshaAllah Azza Jal. Assalamu alaikum. Abu Jawad from Jordan. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, thank you for asking.
Sheikh, I have two questions.
Go ahead.
My first question is white gold subject to zakat? And my question number two, can we give Quran to non-Muslim?
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you, Abu Jawad.
Thank you.
Okay. Her third question was pertaining the menses. It is currently irregular and it increases. You can actually determine whether this is a period or not, and this bleeding is the period bleeding or the haid or an irregular bleeding, which is known as istihada in fiqh, and the difference is vast, because if it is the regular bleeding due to the haid, then of course, all the restrictions apply. You cannot pray, you cannot fast, you cannot enter the masjid, you cannot touch the Quran, you cannot have an intimate relationship, a complete intercourse with your spouse. But with the irregular bleeding, you can do all of that, but it will be required to perform tahara prior to offering the prayers or performing tawaf upon entering the time of the current prayer. If the period changes, exceeds the regular number of days, it was 5 in the first month, as long as the first month exceeded that to 6 to 7 to 8, even to more, as long as the bleed is continuous, then this is a part of the period itself. This is a part of the period itself. If the woman experiences what's known as a qassatul bayda, where there is the white discharge or colorless discharge, which means that the womb is clean now and empty from the blood, then a day or two later experiences that, then that is called istihada or irregular bleeding. Irregular bleeding. But if the bleeding is continuous without seeing this clear discharge after the regular number of days, without seeing that, then that's called still within the period, even if it exceeds the regular number of days. I hope this is clear. If it is not as clear, you can clarify further more in details via email, and inshallah I'll be more than happy to answer that. Women issues really represent a great difficulty, because when a woman consults her gynecologist, a female gynecologist for instance, she might not know the difference between the haid or al-istihada. It's all bleeding and that's it. She is worried about the hygiene, but she's not worried about the cleanness pertaining the tahara, which will enable the woman to pray, to fast, to continue the rest of her regular activities during the state of tahara. And that's why she has to be specific. If the bleeding, even in 2-3 days later, resembles the same bleeding of the regular period, the same color, the same odor, then this is a part of the period, and the same rules will apply there. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Abdul Rahman from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sister?
I actually have two questions. I said one initially, but I have two.
Can you raise your voice a bit, please?
Okay, I initially said I had one question, but I actually have two questions.
That happens all the time. That's okay.
What is the difference between the Sunni way and the Alawi way? And the other question is, if you have any knowledge as to what is going on in Syria, why is there so much killing by the president of Syria, and why there aren't any, why there's no intervention, especially by the Muslim countries, especially those countries that have changed their own leadership. I know the Western countries have not done anything, but what about the Muslim countries? I haven't heard of any kind of intervention except...
I want to assure you, until we get to answer this question, that the imams here are constantly praying in their prayers, in their salah, and asking Allah to destroy the Syrian regime, this Alawi, Nusayri, Syrian criminal regime. Okay? But inshallah, whenever it is time to answer the question, I will explain the difference between Alawi or Nusayri and the Sunnis, and the facts about the situation in Syria. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the Syrian people, particularly Ahlul Sunnah, and save them from this massacre by the criminal Syrian president and his regime. Inshallah Azza Jal will answer that in details. Do you have any other question, Abdul Rahman? Okay. Sister Kishwar from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum.
Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, thank you for asking, sister.
Yeah, I first I want to thank you for the wonderful programs from which we are
Alhamdulillah.
benefiting immensely. And I have got two questions.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. The first one is, when I'm an expatriate, I'm from Bangladesh, I'm living in UAE. When I go on holiday to my home country, when I stay at my parents' house, if it's less than 12 days, some people say you have to pray qasr, and some people say you have to say regular prayer. So I just want to know.
So you stay in your parents' house, not with your husband?
With my husband, with my family.
I know, you don't have your own house there. Rather, you just visit your parents and you stay in their house.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, I have got houses, but that are on rent, actually. So for some days I stay with my brother-in-law. For some days I stay with my parents, and some days with my sister, like that.
And this is not your country of residence. You don't live in it.
No, I live in UAE. For the last 30 years I have been living in
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Okay.
Okay, another question is, I pray 4 rakah of Ishraq after sunrise, and Alhamdulillah, after Maghrib I pray 4 rakah of Nafil prayers every day. I just want to know if it's okay if I, in my sujood, I do something regularly. I mean, in my first rakah I thank Allah, and in my second prayer I ask for forgiveness, like that. Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sister Kishwar. Adam from Nigeria, and I would kindly request the viewers to put a hold on the phone calls for just a little bit until we get to answer the pending questions. Adam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My wife gave birth to a baby boy.
Congratulations.
But she wants, thank you. She wants to name the child Abdullah. But I have checked all the Islamic names. I have not seen Abdullah. I have been seeing Abdullah.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether Abdullah is a good name.
Abdullah is the best name. But they pronounce it in slang as Abdullah. Okay?
She has been insisting she wants Abdullah, maybe because of the king of Saudi Arabia.
And as a matter of fact, it depends on its position in the sentence. For instance, if you're calling him, you say, Ya Abdullah. That is valid. But when the name itself is a subject, then you say, Abdullah said, Abdullah came. So it depends on the grammatical position of the name in the sentence. But Abdullah too is actually a valid name. It has the same meaning. The pronunciation of the different vowels from Fatha to Dhamma depending on the grammar. Okay, so Abdullah or Abdullah is the same, but when you call somebody, say, Ya Abdullah. Okay?
Yeah.
I met with Abdullah. But when you say Abdullah came, then it should be with the Dhamma. This is some Arabic grammar. رزقت الموهوب وشكرت الواهب وبلغ أشده ورزقت بره. This is the invocation from the Sunnah to be said to somebody who received a baby boy, and I hope the viewers would say Ameen. So that may Allah bless you in your son and make him righteous and make him dutiful to Allah and to you, inshallah, as he grows older, healthy and wealthy, inshallah. Barakallah fikum. Okay. Reem from Oman, her grandparents are coming to perform Umrah, and they're going to stay in her uncle's house for 1 day. Are they required to come in a state of ihram? Yes, because their intention is to perform Umrah. So even if they're staying more than 1 day, for a week, they would stay in the ihram. They initially travel from Oman, from India, from any location to Jeddah as a station so that they can travel to Mecca to perform Umrah. So you cannot cross the miqat, the appointed miqat, which will be declared in the plane, depending on where you're coming from. The Prophet ﷺ named the mawaqit, as discussed in the program Hajj step by step. See where you're coming from. At that miqat or before, you can declare the intention by saying, Labbaik Allahumma Umratan. If you delay it until you arrive to Jeddah, then that's a big sin. And you violated one of the pillars of the wajibat of the Umrah or Hajj, which is making the talbiyah from the miqat. It can be made up by the ransom of slaughtering a sheep to be distributed in Mecca upon the poor, or going back to the miqat if it is accessible and make the niyyah from there. Brother Najib and his company, he's asking about the zakah. There is in and out, there is credit and there is debt, and he is asking which part of the money is zakatable, which part there is no zakat due on it right now, and so on. And I asked him a straightforward question. I said, do you guys have a religious consultant? Do you have a mufti? You know, whenever, mashallah, the company prosper and the business is booming, we think about hiring secretaries. We think about hiring HR, human resources, and this and this and that. The last thing crosses the mind of the business people is hiring a mufti or a religious consultant. Why not? He doesn't have to be a full-time. A person who is a mufti, who is reliable sheikh, a scholar, not just a da'iyah, a scholar, because this is business. And you're doing business with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to be very, very careful. You know, in the States, make no mistake about it. If you make an error in the IRS, in the tax, you can make an error with any person, not with Uncle Sam's. And this is a human law. And that's why they make sure that they have the perfect accounting system, and they hire the best accountant to avoid any violation. They can be jailed for that. Zakah, if the money which is due in one's wealth is not taken and given to the poor on its time, it destroys the person's wealth. It deprives him from the barakah. It demolishes his wealth. So please, make sure that you have an on-board sheikh or faqih. He will look into the account with the accountant, and he will tell you that if there are money outside, if there is money outside which is due for us to collect it, and we know that it is ours, we have earned it, but you know, the people will say we'll pay it in a week or two or a month or so. It's our money, then that is zakatable, even though it's not in our safe. It is not with the capital sum. So there is some more explanation in this regard that is similar to the ruling of zakah on debt. If you lend somebody money, do you pay zakah on it? Yes, you do pay zakah on it, because it is your money. As long as the person acknowledges that this money is yours and I'm going to pay it in a year or two, and he's capable. If the person denies it, that's called a dead debt. Then we say don't pay on it. But if one day his conscience woke up and he decided to pay you, then you pay for 1 year, because you did not expect him to pay. Same thing apply to the company and collecting your credit from the clients. Abdullah from Nigeria, in the last 1 minute, talking about exchanging his old TV set with a new one. Is this permissible? What's restricted is pertaining certain items, as in the sound hadith. The Prophet ﷺ counted them: الذهب بالذهب والفضة بالفضة والبر بالبر والشعير بالشعير والملح بالملح. Gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, salt for salt. يدا بيد مثلا بمثل. If I'm exchanging dates for dates, it's got to be the same amount, even though with different types. This is the good quality and this is the bad quality. But because they're all food, gold for gold. You do not take old gold, exchange it for new, and you pay extra because you're taking the new. Rather, to get out of this, do that. Sell the old, then take the cash and buy the new for whatever price you agree to. فإذا اختلفت هذه الأصناف فبيعوا كيف شئتم. If these categories are different and they're not any of these, then sell as you wish. So for an old TV, a new TV, a camera for a camera, and so on, no problem. But if it is an item for an item, then another condition is still there, which is يدا بيد. An item for an item, you give this and you receive the other one. You do not delay, because there is a riba in the time. There is riba in the time. pertaining the items which the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, he said, it's got to be the same amount for the same amount, yadan biyad, at the same time. The exchange has to take place at the same time. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. And until next episode, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you all safe. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech.